Part 1. What is martial arts? At its most basic, martial arts is a codified system of combat practices developed for a variety of reasons, including self-defense, military application, law enforcement, mental and spiritual development, and as a competitive or performance art. The term martial arts is a Western one, derived from Latin Mars, the god of war. In Chinese, the most common term is wushu. Wu means martial or military. Shu means art, method, or technique. So wushu literally translates to the art of fighting or martial methods. However, this simple translation belies a much deeper meaning, especially in the Chinese context. It's not just about fighting, it's about a holistic system of self-cultivation. Part 2. How are they related to Chinese philosophy? Chinese martial arts are not merely a collection of punches and kicks. They are a physical manifestation of Chinese philosophy. The philosophy provides the why and the how, the principles that govern movement, strategy, and the ultimate purpose of practice. The three most influential philosophical systems are Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. They intertwine to form the core of traditional Chinese martial arts. 1. Taoism, the principle of natural law and softness. Taoism, founded on texts like the Tao Te Ching by Laozi, is arguably the most significant philosophical influence. The Tao, the ultimate goal, is to live in harmony with the Tao, the natural, underlying force of the universe. Martial arts practice is seen as a way to align oneself with the Tao. Yin and Yang. This is the most visible Taoist concept. It represents the duality and interdependence of all things: hard-soft, active-passive, full-empty, attack-defense. A good martial artist understands how to balance and transition between these opposites. For example, yielding to an opponent's force to unbalance them before counterattacking. Wu Wei. This is not an action, but rather action that is spontaneous, efficient, and in perfect accord with the flow of events. A martial artist strives to react without forced intention, like a river flowing around a rock. Softness overcoming hardness. A core Taoist idea, famously illustrated in the image of a flexible bamboo surviving a storm that shatters a mighty, rigid oak tree. This is the principle behind styles like Tai Chi and Baguazhang, which emphasize redirecting an opponent's force rather than meeting it head-on. 2. Buddhism, the cultivation of the mind. When Buddhism came from India, it merged with Taoism in China to form Chan Buddhism. The mind is primary. Chan Buddhism teaches that the ultimate obstacle is one's own mind, the ego, fear, and distracting thoughts. Martial arts training is a form of moving meditation to calm the monkey mind and achieve a state of focused awareness. Qigong, meaning energy work. Qigong is a fundamental part of Chinese martial arts. While it has Taoist roots, its practice of cultivating and circulating internal energy is deeply tied to the Buddhist idea of mastering the body's subtle energies to achieve mental clarity and spiritual insight. Discipline and overcoming suffering. The rigorous, often painful training regimen is seen as an ascetic practice to forge discipline, endure hardship, and break the attachments of ego. 3. Confucianism, the framework for social and moral conduct. Confucianism provides the ethical and social structure for martial arts. Virtue over violence. A core tenet is that martial skill must be guided by virtue. The ultimate warrior is a scholar warrior who uses their skill for justice and protection, not for bullying or aggression. Respect and hierarchy. The strict teacher-student relationship, the bowing, and the respect for the school and one's seniors are all Confucian values. They create an orderly environment for transmitting knowledge. The concept of xia. This is the ideal of the righteous warrior or knight-errant who roams the land correcting injustices. This heroic figure, central to Chinese wuxia stories, is a direct product of Confucian ethics applied to martial prowess. Synthesis in practice. The internal martial arts. The fusion of these philosophies is most evident in the neijia or internal martial arts. The primary examples are Tai Chi, Baguazhang, and Xingyiquan. Tai Chi, its core philosophy, is the interplay of yin and yang. Its slow, flowing movements are a physical practice of Taoist philosophy, cultivating qi and training the body to move with softness and internal power. Xingyiquan, based on the 5 elements theory from Chinese philosophy and medicine, it directly channels aggressive, linear intent, connecting Buddhist mind training with Taoist cosmological principles. Baguazhang, based on the 8 trigrams of the I Ching, its circular footwork and constant change embody the Taoist principle of eternal transformation and adapting to the opponent. Summary Philosophy Core Contribution to Martial Arts Taoism Principles of Movement, Internal Energy, and Harmony with Nature. Buddhism Mental Discipline, Meditation, Overcoming the Ego, and the Cultivation of Qi for Spiritual Ends. Confucianism Moral Code, Social Structure, Respect for Teacher and Tradition, and the Ideal of the Righteous Warrior. In conclusion, Chinese martial arts are a moving philosophy. Every block, punch, and stance can be an expression of ancient cosmological principles, ethical codes, and spiritual pursuits. To practice them is not just to learn to fight, but to engage in a centuries-old tradition of self-cultivation and understanding of the universe.
For Taiwanese, no sound gives rise to thoughts of home as much as the beat of drums and cymbals. This type of traditional Chinese street performance is different from the improvised street dance common in the West. The movement derives from those of China's sophisticated martial arts tradition. Performed on the street or temple courtyards, these dances, performed for the gods, are an expression of the rich culture and abundant life of Taiwan's grassroots communities. Moral concepts such as filial piety and chivalry, religious ideas of respect for heaven and fear of spirits, combine with martial arts movements and rhythms to create these magnificent performances. Called Zento, these dances present many characters from legend, combining the real with the fantastic. Temples where Zento are most often performed are, in the hearts of many Taiwanese, sacred and universal theaters. Martial arts are also known as Chinese Kung Fu. Superficially, it is a form of exercise in fighting, but at a deeper level, it is a form of spiritual development. Each movement might mean victory or defeat in battle, but even more, they are expressions of a person's moral worth. Through Kung Fu, a person trains both his mind and his body to achieve the Confucian ideal of being a complete man. The Sungjiang formation, which combines Kung Fu with tactical formation movements, is the centerpiece of many religious festivals. It is one of only a few such dances that have been preserved more or less complete. Zento are divided into martial forms, civil forms, and also parades of tableaux vivants, or living pictures. The purpose of these activities is sometimes to inculcate moral teachings, but at other times it is a humorous show drawing its material from the daily life of ordinary people. Regardless of whether the shows are performed with or without costumes, they are always very appealing to the public. These days, Zento mostly serve a religious function and are often regarded simply as a form of folk art. In fact, Zento is intimately related to the history of Taiwan's agricultural development. Taiwan lies just beyond the edge of China's territorial expansion. 300 years ago, many martial young men from Guangzhou and Zhangzhou joined Koxinga in his expedition to capture Taiwan from the Dutch. Under Koxinga's policy of creating farmer soldiers, they took part in the clearing and cultivation of the land. They also brought with them martial arts and the forms taken by Zento, which took root in Taiwan. Gods, temples, and Zento helped ease the sorrow of these immigrants far from their homes. The importance of these activities also reveals the sense of fear many felt in the new environment. It was only through religious rituals that people could find comfort. In the early days, men were required to perform much heavy labor, so during the slack season, they would practice martial arts to keep their bodies strong. The government, to facilitate its rule, forbade the practice of martial arts. Under the guise of practicing dragon dancing, lion dancing, or other Zento forms, such training continued. In the early days of land development, disputes were common. These disputes often developed into violent clan feuds, and the martial and tactical skills of the Zhento form the basis of local militia groups. When celebrating the nativity of a god, these groups would come out to protect the sacred image and pray for peace and good fortune. Such activities not only strengthened community feeling, but also created what was to become the impressive Zhento formations. Zhento combines elements of Kung Fu, military tactics, religion, and entertainment. Ordinarily, it is just a form of exercise, but during temple fairs, when different groups come out to perform, although competition is now peaceful, you can see that each group is also very concerned for the pride of its community. After the work in the fields is over, everyone would gather and the trainer would start to direct his troops. In a single shouted order, the heritage, the values, the community feeling, and the pride can all be heard. It is a sound that binds the people with the land they live on. The tradition continues today. Although the Zhento has lost its military application, it continues as a folk art that combines religion and entertainment. The excitement and colorfulness of Zhento performances are a continual reminder of the life force embodied in grassroots culture. The Zhento is not superstition, nor does it reflect a love of violence. Rather, it is the embodiment of cultural continuity. The martial arts spirit of the Zhento encompasses health improvement and self-defense, but ultimately it also is an exploration of life's big questions and of universal truths. Through posture and breathing, the body becomes a microcosm of the natural world, tuned to cosmic rhythms. It emphasizes the superiority of good over evil, and the belief that only by cultivating virtue in body and spirit is it possible to achieve real proficiency in the martial arts. The beauty of the martial arts does not come only from physical movement, but also through its expression of Chinese philosophy, with its emphasis on balance, the seeking of harmony between action and inaction, strength and flexibility. This is the source of the mysterious beauty that characterizes Chinese martial arts. In an agricultural society, man relies on the heavens for his survival, and however small his harvest, all is part of heaven's bounty, part of the beneficence of gods and spirits. To pray for good weather and family harmony, religious rites become a regular part of life. These events combine thanksgiving with prayers for divine protection. In order to assure a good year for the community, putting on a good show for the gods was essential. Festivals also provided a splash of color in monotonous rural life. In daily routine, everyone has their own work. But in times of festival, different communities will compete to put on the best show. Everyone puts down their work, picks up their weapons, and prepares to play a special role. The contrast between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the plain and the ostentatious, the pacific and the competitive, all come to the surface during such times. There's no consensus on how the Sungjiang Formation originated, but its name is closely associated with the Ming Dynasty novel, The Water Margin. The story tells of a group of heroes who use their martial skills to fight for social justice. The Sungjiang Formation needs a minimum of 36 performers, but this can increase to 72 and even 108 on occasion. The performers play different characters from the novel, each wielding a distinctive weapon. In the course of the ritual, the performers show the apotheosis of the chivalrous and the patriotic heroes, expressing the longing for social justice felt by the common people. With the beat of drums and cymbals, the Sungjiang Formation takes the stage. We see the distinctive movements of martial exercises, and in the rapid, instinctive movements, the weapon and the warrior become one. Watching such a performance, we cannot but marvel at the artistry of Chinese Kung Fu. Kung Fu includes hand-to-hand combat and the use of 18 standard weapons of the Chinese arsenal. But the soul of Chinese tactics lies in formation fighting. Formations such as the Scorpion Formation, the Hornet Formation, the Hexagram Formation all make use of bluffs and sudden strikes, and in their tight choreography, the Jento resemble dances. For all their beauty, they incorporate the tactical thinking developed over thousands of years, the invaluable heritage of ancient military thinkers. The painted faces of the performers serve a function similar to masks. Apart from making the characters more distinctive, it also serves to deify them, so that once the eyes of the mask have been opened, the performer and the formation of which he is a member can serve the religious function of driving away evil influences. In their traditional performance arts, painted faces are more than just a form of makeup. They should be regarded as more of a kind of visual language. Through the use of pattern and color, one can catch a glimpse of the uses of color psychology in Chinese art. Sacrifices and other formal ceremonies, which have remained unchanged over many centuries, show the continued respect of man for the supernatural and for the forces of nature. Unlike these formal rites, Jento performances are extremely lively. While the sacred and solemn aspects are important, these performances show that playfulness and enjoyment are also an integral part of life. They give the present vibrancy and human warmth. With its mixture of ritual and Jento, its mutual concern and dance, a temple fair is an important way of reinforcing community feeling and cooperation. Each district performs its own Jento, and competition over skill and lavishness is intense. This competition is a formal reenactment of inter-clan feuds of the past, but by competing over who has the deepest pockets and can offer the most ostentatious hospitality, it is far more civilized than street fighting. Parades are tours of inspection in which the gods review the community. Hoping the gods will bring prosperity and prevent misfortune, people follow hard on the heels of the sacred image, no matter how long or difficult the road. Such activities are the high point of religious festivals. Local people, organized into groups, will don costumes and perform martial formations. Their role is to assist the god in his tour of inspection and serve the function of driving away demons and other evil influences. When the parades stop at temples along the route, it's a chance for these formations to entertain the god and show off their martial prowess. This performance is the product of continuous training, and groups inevitably tried their best to impress. It is from this effort that competition between formations arises. Temple fairs also provide a chance for ordinary people to put aside their work and get together with neighbors in a spirit of friendship. This religious culture has passed down to the present day to become a kind of variety entertainment. We can see signs of this culture all around Taiwan in the wholehearted spirit in which people participate in these events, creating a kind of mystic beauty that draws all participants into the spirit of ecstasy and solemnity. There's no shame not to measure up to another person, but for the formation, not to measure up is truly shameful, runs one Taiwanese saying. From the intricately applied makeup to the bright costumes and the choreography of the formation, no one wants to lose face when performing the Jento before the god and the public. The mixture of displaying piety and winning glory for one's community leads to fierce competition among performers, igniting the mood of the festival and quickening the pulse of Taiwan's religious life. Once the performers have put on their makeup and costumes, they become the semi-divine characters of their roles. The audience is enraptured and shouts encouragement to the performers. The Jento provides a release from the pressures of an agricultural life, allowing repressed creativity to burst forth in an event that affirms self-worth and brings glory to the community. These dances of righteousness handed down by our ancestors reflect the lack of legal authority in the past. It was the proximity of the divine, with gods and spirits watching over the morals of mankind, that provided the basis for social order. It is hardly surprising that so much of religion focused on moral constraints enforced by the beliefs that evil will be punished and good rewarded. These performances in praise of heaven and a clan's ancestors are an expression of the vitality of Taiwan's grassroots culture and the strength of the Taiwanese spirit. In the third month, everyone goes mad for Matsu. In the fourth and fifth, they welcome the Wang Ye. People who made their living from the sea developed the custom of burning the king boat to send away the plague gods. Temples send out palanquins carrying the sacred image to take part. In front of the main temple, participants would compete, seeing who could create the most spectacular show. Whether in country villas, villages, or towns, everyone prepares busily for a Jento performance. Although each is busy with his own affairs, it all derives from the same feeling of expectation of the big event. In traditional society, where people lived frugal and laborious lives, festivals and nativity celebrations for the gods provided a chance to put aside the pressures of work for a day and give oneself over to food, drink, and entertainment. In addition to giving thanks and praying for future good fortune, many people also believed that the more people taking part in the feasting, the greater prosperity the event would bring. For this reason, each clan would try to outdo the other in the lavishness of the event. This became the basis of Taiwan's uninhibited festival culture and the custom of temple feasting. It is a combination of religion, folk performance, unrestrained gastronomy, and community in action. With nightfall, another activity takes over. To cast off evil, everyone taking part in the festival will throw themselves into the explosive cacophony of beehive firecrackers. Putting oneself amid the explosions of thousands of firecrackers continues to be a challenge to the brave. After a day parading the sacred image, the various Zhento formation return to the temple, weary but happy. They know that by doing what they have done, they have expressed their gratitude to the gods of heaven and earth. It is the only way to express their respect and gratitude to heaven. Shamans are people who are able to manipulate the invisible world and make spirits manifest themselves. Using incantations and dances that have been passed down through the centuries and drawing on the faith of the people, they are able to speak with the spirit world. After midnight, mountains of spirit money are set alight, engulfing the king boat in their flames. Under the cold moon, on the clear sea, and in the silent air, nothing else seems to exist but this mass of flame. Slowly the stars set, the king boat falls apart, and with it, bad luck and evil influences are taken away with the smoke, leaving the people expecting a prosperous year to come. Life follows its own rhythms, and in the process of modernization, many old traditions have been lost. Nevertheless, the tradition of martial arts, embodied in the Zhento, still touches the heart. Today, many forms of exercise draw on these traditional arts, and the forms and figures of this body language continue to manifest themselves in various types of performance art. History does not reject change and has no limits. This is true also of Chinese martial arts, which extend their influence through all aspects of our life.
How does martial arts related to Taiwanese culture? Martial arts and Taiwanese culture are deeply connected, not only through physical practice, but also through history, ethics, and local identity. Here's how they relate on several levels. 1. Historical roots and transmission. Taiwan's martial arts culture grew from a blend of Chinese mainland traditions and local Taiwanese adaptations. Migration from Fujian and Guangdong during the Qing dynasty brought southern styles like White Crane, Five Ancestors, and Southern Shaolin. These arts merged with local customs, temple gatherings, and community defense needs, forming what people often call Taiwanese martial arts. During Japanese rule, Japanese martial arts such as kendo, judo, and karate also took root in Taiwan, influencing training methods and discipline. So martial arts in Taiwan became a cultural hybrid, linking Chinese heritage, Japanese influence, and local creativity. 2. Martial arts in temple and folk culture in Taiwan. Martial arts are often woven into religious and folk traditions. Many temples have martial performance troupes that perform during festivals, like the Songjiang Battle Array. These performances are not just for show. They express loyalty, bravery, and spiritual devotion to deities, such as Guandi, the god of loyalty and righteousness. Practicing these arts is seen as both training the body and honoring the gods, a form of spiritual cultivation and community protection. This connection shows how martial arts in Taiwan are ritualistic, communal, and moral, not just individual or competitive. 3. Moral and philosophical values. Traditional martial arts promote virtues that align with Confucian and Taoist ideals deeply rooted in Taiwanese culture. Un and yi, do not misuse strength. Li, honor teachers, parents, and tradition. Jing and Ge, seek peace before conflict. These values are mirrored in everyday Taiwanese life: respect for elders, community harmony, and modesty, showing how martial arts training reflects broader cultural ethics. 4. Modern Taiwanese identity and cultural preservation in contemporary Taiwan. Martial arts are seen as living heritage, connecting the younger generation to traditional culture. They are practiced not only for self-defense, but also for health and national pride, expressing Taiwan's unique cultural blend of Chinese roots and local spirit. Schools and cultural festivals often include martial arts demonstrations to preserve and celebrate Taiwanese tradition. 5. Spiritual and self-cultivation aspect. For many Taiwanese practitioners, martial arts go hand in hand with Taoist or Buddhist practices, such as meditation, qigong, or moral self-reflection. Thus, martial arts embody a path to self-cultivation, an important aspect of Taiwanese moral education and religious life. In summary, martial arts in Taiwan are not only techniques of combat, but expressions of faith, morality, and community identity. They bridge the past and the present, from temple rituals to modern sports, embodying both the discipline of the body and the cultivation of the spirit that define much of Taiwanese culture.
One, discipline of the body and mind. Martial arts require consistent practice, patience, and self-control. Through repetitive training, you learn to overcome laziness and fear, develop focus and perseverance, control emotions such as anger or panic in stressful situations. This process builds discipline, the foundation of self-cultivation. 2. Balance between strength and virtue. Traditional martial arts always emphasize the as much as ji. A true martial artist is not one who can harm others, but one who acts with humility and compassion, uses power responsibly, cultivates inner peace instead of aggression. This moral aspect transforms martial arts into a path of character development, not just combat. 3. Harmony of body, mind, and spirit. In systems like Tai Chi, Kung Fu, or Aikido, practitioners learn to regulate their breathing and energy flow, move with awareness and mindfulness, align the inner state with outer movement. This harmony mirrors the greater goal of self-cultivation, achieving inner balance and unity with nature, or the Tao. 4. Facing oneself. Training often reveals your true nature, your limits, temper, pride, and fear. By confronting them directly, you refine your personality, much like polishing a sword. As martial arts masters often say, the ultimate opponent is not another person, but oneself. 5. Philosophical insight. Many martial arts are rooted in philosophies like Taoism, Confucianism, or Zen Buddhism, which teach nonviolence through understanding, stillness within movement, self-knowledge as the highest victory. Thus, martial arts become a form of moving meditation and a path to self-awareness.